Hey y'all, see my improvement because I'm practicing. Thank you for coming back. Today is day 2 of the Actively Authentic Allyship Challenge. And we're in my living room today because I was in the shower and I got a download that I got to incorporate this painting over here in today's lesson. But I want to know what you guys think of the videos I asked you to watch. How informative were they? What feelings you had when you watched them? Now, there was 2. And there was laughter in one of them, but the subject matter in both was still a little bit heavy. So being authentic means acknowledging your true feelings, right? Sitting with them, seeing what you think about them, and deciding then who you want to be, right? And what I mean by who you want to be is, what character do you have in response to your feelings? What, hey Alan, hey Ursula, what character do you have or who you want to be with your, hey Sarah, hey everybody, I see a few people and I put the phone a little far away so I don't know how many people are on there. But I just really want to know, like, what does it mean to you to be authentic? What does it mean to you when you see these kind of things? Like, what character do you want to have? Like, who do you want to be in history? Because that happened, right? We can't change the past, but we can decide who we want to be in the future. So I took some notes, and these are some things that I have that came up for me when I watched the videos. So I'm going to talk about the one about the massacre in North Carolina. And though that was an atrocious and it was a horrible act, the one thing that I did find a little bit satisfying, and this is just, you know, it's kind of a sick satisfaction, but that it was all, they really went, the white men that overthrew the government, they got mad once the black man was like, hey, some white women be loving this dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, they did that. Like, it doesn't make it okay that they massacred. That shit is still atrocious. It's still heavily steeped racism. But it was all because of patriarchal possession. You know, so like these things are interloped and layered and multifaceted. Now, in the video about the violence against black trans women and then learning about black trans women's, some of the issues that they face, what I found was that they are black and trans. And so it's like this double layer of hypervigilance. It's this double layer of I can't walk down the street. And that made me feel kind of sad. And I felt a little bit of guilt for my, like I grew up with none but brothers and the football team. So it was a lot of macho energy. And my brother, though he has evolved and changed and all that, they were hella homophobic. And I understand that trans is different in that way. But I felt a little guilty for some of those beliefs I was raised to have. And so with that, I also felt a little bit more restored in my commitment to be an ally and to be active in my allyship. And then I know I mentioned it yesterday, but it's my commitment to y'all that I'm going to be kind of allying on more behalf of other marginalized communities and learning more about, frankly, the world. It just makes me a smarter person. It makes my soul feel better. It makes my soul have more knowledge to manifest from. It makes me better equipped to create this shared future. But I was watching it, and these are some things that I found interesting. So I took a note. It says cisgender people feel like they haven't been around trans people because they feel like they would know. That point stood out to me because it's kind of like, well, wait a minute. What, you got this idea in your mind saying like, oh, you think you would know? Well, you don't get to, like, that means that you already have a preconceived notion of what a trans woman would look like or what a trans male would look like. That is not, that just like every other species, every other person in the species, they come in all shapes and sizes. And I found out, and I kind of alluded to this yesterday, I think, that they don't all aspire to look like cisgender in their transition. For me, what it felt like, and anybody can correct me where I'm wrong, people just want to exist as who they are and not have to satisfy somebody else's idea of who they should be, as long as they ain't hurting nobody. So I'm all for that, because I'm absolutely against oppression, and I'm absolutely for full self-expression. So also I found out they have to pass. Well, not pass. Like, passing is a thing for trans women too. And so, like, when I think about people back during Reconstruction and this whole idea that society is set up with the proximity to whiteness, trans culture or trans people have like this, they get the passing for them is a proximity to cisgender or heteronormative standards, when that may not be how they want to exist. So then gender non-conforming, they said GNC, and guess what I had to do? I had to be active, like I told y'all yesterday, and use my computer and Google it. GNC is gender non-conforming. Learning some of these acronyms helps you be more sensitive to the culture, helps you be more sensitive to being able to be a better ally, because you do got to do the work of understanding what's going on. And just like marginalized communities, black people, we have internalized depression. Trans people also have internalized transphobia that they have to unpack. So then when you add to, like, so say you Asian and trans, say you black and trans, those are more layers of intersectionality that you have to like unpack and deal with. And then if you're non-binary, you have like, non-binary is relatively new for the words in American culture, but not new in existence. And I can't even imagine what kind of body dysmorphia goes on. And what body dysmorphia is a mental condition, not condition, but a mental experience where you don't have a health, you don't have the view, your view of your body and the way your body actually exists are not the same, and it creates cognitive dissonance. Racism, I got this is a direct quote from it. Racism does not go away under the alphabet or the rainbow. They said it, I didn't, but it makes sense. They said sometimes white gay males are the most racist while tokenizing black trans women. And as a black woman who has been tokenized before, I can identify with that experience, but I cannot add the extra layer of being trans on there. So I have a place of empathy, but not full understanding. The same way white allies can have grown up in gaslighting relationships or toxic households and have a place of empathy for feelings, but cannot understand the cumulative effect of what it is to be black in America. These are more layers of oppression. And here's the thing. I'm working on taking racism out of my language and adding that I got from Resma Menakem, white body supremacism, because when you say racism, you putting it on the oppressed instead of the oppressor. This is not a black problem, it's a white problem. Okay? And so when you put it, so it's white body supremacism in all things in their proximity to whiteness, and whiteness being the dominant and on top, that's the shit we changing. That's the shit that is not accurate. That's the shit that it has these systems and is permeated to create levels of hierarchy and intersectionalities of discrimination. So when you want to be an ally, make sure you know that what you are dismantling is a system of white body supremacism. And not to say nothing wrong with your white body. It's the system that is set up to have white bodies be preferred and indoctrinated into people's psyches to have that be preferred. So this is not, everybody's body is okay and you should develop a loving, pleasurable relationship with your body. I am not saying that it's something wrong with white bodies. What I'm saying is this system of having white bodies be the preferred system or the preferred body in culture and rule of law and rule of corporate structure and rule of internalized oppression is the thing we are dismantling. So now I already got, now this thing happened, and this happened to me. In that trans video, he said you guys a couple times and they corrected him twice, but then he said, you have to be patient with me. That triggered me on behalf of them because they ain't got to be shit. Okay. I was telling somebody my story and they said something offensive. And what I said was, I don't have the time. I don't have the emotional labor. I don't have whatever it was. I don't have it for this right now. And they didn't know what they did wrong. And I didn't care that they didn't know because I didn't have it for that. And what that person said to me was, you've got to give me some grace. Bitch, I ain't got to give you shit, okay? Because that's the way I feel right now. And if I interact with you, I'm going to talk to you like that. So what I'm going to do is stop this conversation and I'm going to go on my merry way. And then when I have it, I may come back and tell you, or you can do the thing I told you to do in Google. Now, that's how I felt. The next day I went back and I explained what was wrong and why I didn't have it. But that's because I'm an educator and I believe that education is the way. But what I didn't have in that moment when I was all triggered and I had to honor myself first was I ain't had a time. I wasn't about to explain in all of that fragility what you did wrong. And especially when you're also demanding of me some grace. Why don't you be graceful and then you don't have to demand grace? But I'm over that now. So then, these are the other notes I took. I can be watching queer-centric things too. Like, so the same way we tell white people to like read books about black culture or read black fiction, watch black shows, get to know some of the stuff. I can watch queer-centric things and that way I'll be able to get to know more of the culture without having to have it be explained all the time. Because I felt so much relief when one of those women was like, listen, I don't want to talk to you about my surgeries. I don't want to talk to you about my hormones or my body dysmorphia and all of that. And I completely understood when she said it because it was kind of like, well, yeah, why would you when that's not my common struggle, right? Like you looking for relief. And if I don't have a place to have relief for it, then I don't have the empathy to be able to offer. I can see that you're going through something, but I don't really know what it's like. My only place for hormones and what that does to you is when I was on birth control, hormones made me a raging bitch, right? Like, so when I was doing that, that's my only place of understanding. And I do not think that even is a chip on the shoulder of what it's like to be transitioning and using hormone replacement therapy to do so. So it was a little bit of a relief for me that they didn't want to talk to me about that. Cause as Auntie Tab say, that ain't my business. That's their business. So this one, I just want to put this out there because I felt it in my spirit when they said it. Trans women ain't out here trying to trick men. And don't think that they out here trying to do that. If they haven't disclosed their status to you, it's because it's not safe for them to do so. But you know you could ask, right? And guess what? Asking allows you to make your own choices and to not then feel like you victimized and then now you got the right to punish and murder and kill. Trans people exist, so then you need to just ask like, hey, if that's a thing for you, if you really care, you want to know if they were born and they are not a trans woman, if they were born as in the female gender and are not a trans woman, ask. Guess what? It's your ego you protecting, not theirs. That would make that like, I imagine they would be okay. Well, I can't say let me not speak for them. But ask so you don't have to feel threatened and they get to feel safe. Right? Like this is about how do we live in a shared future where everybody get to be who they are and not be a threat or violent to other people. So now, just so you know, these same things apply to being an ally for black people. So one thing, yesterday I told you to correct people if you hear somebody misgendering because people misgender on purpose. And that's kind of disrespectful, but you get tired of having to defend your existence all the time. So you can correct. But I may not want to do all that emotional labor all the time, so I can acknowledge and comfort. And I just want to say this. With my guilt that I felt for the thoughts that I held, I'm doing the work to know differently. And I'm also doing the work to educate y'all. Right? So you see how I'm educating y'all on trans issues and hope that y'all will want me to educate you on issues for black and brown women. Hold on, I got a call coming through and on issues for black and brown women. I'm doing that work to educate y'all. I'm sorry, that call threw me off. I'm educating y'all because this is what you do when you decide who you want to be, right? You go out, you change your being, you do the work to integrate it in your psyche. You get with a community, y'all, my community right now in these COVID-19 times. You get with a community and you practice and model the work, okay? You got to, so you bring your conscious mind to get it into your subconscious mind to create a safer world for everybody, which brings me to this painting. Now, Spirit. I'm a spiritual being. I don't know if I ever told y'all that. I might mention it casually, but I have a strong relationship with my ancestors and source. And so I just want to let y'all know that I was in the shower, and I often get downloads in the shower. And they told me to use this painting to explain why this is important to the spiritual community that we do this work. Because the spiritual community, everybody says what you think about happens, and so that you change your thoughts, right? And if you just don't think about bad things won't happen to you. And then anybody that does have bad things, it's their fault. Well, they don't say it's their fault. They say, hey, you just got to change that stinking thinking. And the reality is we live on a whole ass world with a whole bunch of whole ass people that are not even thinking about what they're thinking about. And thoughts go where you send them, and then they coagulate and get together, and the matter collapses and forms the reality that we all experience on the collective. Because if you are a spiritual being, you know that you are one in the whole of one. And that's a whole nother thing I ain't got time to explain. But this here painting, so I'm coming close. So you see it, I'm gonna step out, and then I'm gonna come close. So what it says is your past data plus your imagination multiplied by your knowledge equals this particle, which then equals the world, which funnels into your perception of your reality. And then it says perception is reality. And then you got for my astrologers and my people who like the Bible, because you know that astrology was what told the wise men where to find Jesus. The cosmos is working behind the scenes and the fabric of reality for us all. This painting is called Be Still and Know That I Am God, but I might change it to Be Still and Know That We Are God, because people like to negate this part right here. What you know to be true from your past is your subconscious thinking. So while, yes, we live in the present and there's only present now, unless you have the ability to just have amnesia and dump everything you ever been through, just throw it out the window, then you still manifested from that past subconscious mind. And anybody that has had a spiritual awakening and then knows they have to work through their own interpersonal traumas realizes that they're manifesting from that past subconscious mind, because those traumas are also epigenetically stored in our bodies. And I don't have time to tell you about the epigenome. But just so you know, these are the things you get when you work with me. And if you find these things valuable, drop a gift, let me know, and I'll keep you up to date on all of my upcoming stuff, because I can't put all of this in this one live. So the past, that's the data. Beep, boop, beep, boop, boop. That's all of that. Everything we ever been through in all time and all positions in the universe, plus whatever we know to be true. Right? We got to know it to be true. And then whatever we imagine about it tells the particles. Now, particles exist as both a wave and a particle at the same time. And once you observe it, that's what tells the wave to collapse to a particle. And that's how we get our actual world. So these perceptions, right, equal the reality that we experience, and they get funneled into the way that we experience our world. If I got a perception about white people, guess what? I'm going to encounter white people like that. Or even if I don't, wherever I send them thoughts out there on this globe, white people like that going to be influenced. If I got a thought about black people, and the kind of black people I'm going to perceive, I got a perception of black people, the kind of black people I'm going to experience is going to be like my perception. Or if I never get to experience them, wherever they are, my thoughts going to send it to them. And source is what makes this all manifest together, and all these interloping thoughts come in together. So we all know how important our vibration is, right? It really is. I'm being a little facetious with all of these things, but it really is important for you to be able to know what you're feeling, which is your vibration, for you to be able to choose who you want to be and what you want to do with that feeling and not be in a reactionary state, in order for you to be authentic. You can't be authentic if your thoughts and feelings do not match and don't have alignment with your source. That's just how that works. And source ain't a feeling, it's an existence. Alignment ain't a feeling, it's a combination of all of your existences coming together to do the same shit. Okay? So you don't get to hold biased thoughts or have thoughts that are harmful about people and they don't go and harm them people. whether you be the one acting them out or they be the ones acting them out, that shit's gonna happen because what you think about happens. That's metaphysics 101. So being authentic is a full part of it because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So just like I acknowledge my guilt for the thoughts I held, and now I'm doing the work to get those thoughts. Well, I've been working on that part for a while. I just didn't add the knowledge to go to it so that I could have what it takes to imagine an actual shared future, right? So you got to put knowledge of people's lived experiences in your head. And then once you have that knowledge, then from there, y'all, we can all imagine this shared future. What we are battling with is people's consciousness and then these systems of white body supremacism. And if the system is designed to program unconscious people to prefer white bodies, then the laws will also be done that way. Then the cultures and structures and all of that will also be done that way. So the things we are dismantling is the system of white body supremacism and all the programmed thoughts. And you have to be authentic within yourself, have a name for your feelings, know what, and decide then what you want to feel, and then do what it takes to feel differently. That's the 3-step process, I guess, to authenticity. So, thank you, fine people. Thank y'all for joining me. This is day 2 of the challenge. I hope you found this helpful. If you are interested in working with me to unpack your biases and all of that, because just so you know, while I'm making these videos and I'm able to explain this real clear, that means I've been working on it for a while to incorporate it into my being to do this, right? So it's not just, it ain't like, oh, I learned something, now it's in my being. No, you got to learn it and then do it, boo. I will see y'all tomorrow for day 3, which is be committed. I'm sorry. I got it on my thing, but basically be committed to being an ally, because it is integrating a new identity with your, with all your other identities, not just, oh, I learned something, I decided who I am. No, you got to do the work to do it, boo.